Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I use my platform to be a resource for all things taxes and entrepreneurship. If you're new, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video. I know I have not posted in a while, but this tax season has been extremely busy for me working on taxes for new and existing clients. So in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to read your 1040 tax return because clients reach out to me all the time asking for things like, hey, what's my AGI? Or, hey, what's my filing status? And by now, guys, everyone should really know how to read their 1040 and where to locate various information. Especially because, first of all, with all of these stimulus packages rolling out, and when you're filling out FAFSA forms for your college students or for yourself if you're attending college, you would have a basic level of understanding of where to locate your information on your tax forms. Okay, if this is your first time here, my name is Tasha, and I'm known as Entrepreneur Help Desk on YouTube and on IG, but with underscores. Links to all my social media as well as my email address can always be found in the description box of my videos. I am an accountant and a business consultant, and I serve middle and high income entrepreneurs across the United States. And in my description box, guys, you will see a list of industries that I have a high level of experience working with. Okay, so let's get straight to the form. And guys, no disrespect to wherever you go to get your taxes filed, but some of the retail tax chains found on every other corner usually hand you a tax transcript. They often do not give you a copy of your actual tax return, and then when you need your return for other financial transactions, you have to jump through hoops with the IRS and request copies, which they actually charge a fee for. Okay, so when you get your taxes done, always request a copy of your actual return, not just the transcript. Okay, this video is not teaching you how to do your taxes, but if you are self-employed, okay, you should definitely make sure you take the Masterclass, which does teach you how to do your own taxes as self-employed, and the link is in the description box. Okay, so here's the 2020 1040. Okay, up here at the top is where you're going to find your filing status, okay, which is information you need to know, like when you want to check the filings, not check the filing status, check like your refund status. You need to know your filing status, okay? If you're single, if you're married, filing joint, married, filing separate, if you're head of household, if you're qualifying widower, okay? And let me just mention something about the head of household status. People really get confused with that because they think it's like the house, the head of the household. This filing status really has to do with if you're supporting someone as a dependent. So what I'm explaining is, let's say you have two roommates. Okay, I'm just going to give an example. Maybe it's not so weird, but you have roommates who both have a kid, okay, who lives with them. Now, one roommate who has a child is the head of household for their child, their dependent, in the same address. And the other roommate is the head of household for their child, okay? It's not, I know the term is confusing, but they're not talking about like the head of the house. They're talking about you're the head of the household over whoever you support. Okay, so hopefully you get my point in that. Okay, so basically, yes, this is where you find your filing status. Okay, obviously your name, address, and social. And guys, like whenever someone's preparing your returns, you really should make sure you look them over before they submit them to make sure they have everything correct. Because if something is wrong, if a social security number is wrong, and if the address is wrong, if any of the spelling of your name, this can kind of mess up things. Especially like, let me give you an example. When you're filling out FAFSA and it says, well, do you want to pull the transcript from the IRS records? Okay, they're going off of whatever tax year you select. They're going off of whatever was on that return. And if you put something different in the FAFSA application and trying to pull IRS from the IRS tool, it's going to kick out and say it's not matching the data. So you always want to make sure that everything on here is correct so that when it gets submitted, you won't have any problems like that, okay? So now here's where your spouse name goes, your name, your first name, last name. This is where you're going to find your address, okay? Now, this is the section where your dependents are going to be listed, okay? Your child, or let's say some people are supporting a parent or other non-relative or whatever. This is where their first and last name, you're going to find their social here, their relationship to you. If it is a situation where you're eligible for some child tax credit and things like that, okay, those boxes will be checked off. And so you want to make sure, you check that out. And this is a good symbol, because let's say maybe your tax preparer forgot to give you the child tax credit or whatever, if that box isn't checked. Or let's say you're doing your own taxes. Maybe you somehow missed the credit or something. That's a good indicator letting you know, hey, where's my credit? Okay, now, line 1 is where you're going to find your wages, okay? That's your money that you earn on your W-2, okay? Your tips, if you're in an industry where you get tips and things like that. That's all of that income is going on this line, and this is where you're going to find that line, okay? Line 2A, all right, is going to be your interest that you earn, okay? Some interest you may earn is tax exempt, but then you have interest that's taxable, like on your bank accounts and things like that. That's taxable interest. So you'll find that amount here. If you're investing in stocks and things like that, and you have dividends that you receive, dividend payments, okay, this is where you're going to find that line item. And this is another good indicator to make sure all of your information is being captured, because let's say, for example, you sent your tax return preparer your dividends, right? Your information about your dividends, and they forgot to include it. You want to know how to review your return and look and say, hey, did they list my dividends? And if this box is empty, you know that they did not include it. Okay, so make sure you know where to locate that. Same thing with the IRA distributions. If you took any money out of your IRA and if it was taxable, it needs to be listed. So you want to check that. If you know you took money out and you don't see it listed here, you may want to ask your return preparer, hey, what's going on with my, my IRA distributions? I took money out. Why don't you have it there? Unless it was a rollover. Okay, but I think rollovers go in this column because it's not taxable. Okay, if you receive money on pensions and annuities, okay, that goes here. The taxable amount of your pension and annuities goes here on 5B. If you're someone receiving Social Security benefits, not SSI, guys. SSI is disability, but if you're of age to receive Social Security benefits and whatever amount is taxable, because in some cases, some Social Security is taxable. It depends on if you have income from other sources, okay? Now, if you had any capital gains or losses, again, with different investments or different things that were sold or whatever, if you had a capital gain, a capital loss, that would go on line 7, okay? So now we come to, after some math is done here, line 9 has your total income, okay? So notice that all of your income, okay, is going to be in this column, and then the total income is on line 9. Now, here's where we get some adjustments made to your total income, okay? Now, this is from Schedule 1, line 22. And Schedule 1, let me see if I can pull that up really quick. Okay, irs.gov. And then let's pull up Schedule 1. Okay, Schedule 1. Okay, so Schedule 1 is where other things are listed here, for example, business income, which is coming from Schedule C. Like if you're a sole proprietor or like you're an LLC that fills out a Schedule C, your Schedule C info is going to travel over here. And speaking of Schedule C, guys, if you are someone who files Schedule C, I also have a masterclass called How to Fill Out Your Schedule C form. And that link to that masterclass is also in the description box. You also have here, this is like where your unemployment compensation is listed, which a lot of people have been getting, And the new bill that was passed, the first, I think, $10,300, I want to say, is going to be non-taxable. But they're working all of that out, guys, because initially when the software came out for the 2020 tax filing, obviously that wasn't there. They just made this change, so people who already filed, they listed, their full unemployment was listed. So IRS is still working all of that out, but I'm just showing you like where it goes, okay? Educator expenses, where you're only able to claim up to like $250, okay? And let's see what else. If you are, again, self-employed, and let's say you contributed to your retirement plan, which is a good way, by the way, it helps you cut down on some taxes, that amount would go here. This is where you would find that. And also if you pay for your own health insurance, okay, that would go here. All right. So again, a lot of stuff now here, like student loan interest deduction, that's here on line 20. Some people, depending on their income limits, if they're like at a really high income, they don't even get to write off the student loan interest. So that's, but you usually can still list it. It's just not going to be factored in. Okay. So that's everything from, Schedule 1. And then once you have your number from Schedule 1, that's where we come back to 10A. Okay. So you want to make sure all of that coincides together. Now let's come to your AGI, because once all the adjustments have been made and listed on 10C, line 11 is where you're going to locate your AGI, your adjusted gross income. And guys, now you just learned the official meaning of AGI. It stands for adjusted gross income. And how it's calculated is it takes your total income and it subtracts out any adjustments to your income, and then it comes to your adjusted gross income, okay? Well, addition to, because I'm saying subtract it out, but sometimes you have additional income, and then sometimes you have adjustments to the income. So bottom line, what I'm saying is that once you do that math, you come to your AGI. So AGI can be found on line 11 of your 1040, okay? So your AGI tells you a lot, because especially like with the stimulus, again, for example, the income limits and things like that, when they say, if you're over a certain amount, if you're under a certain amount, you do or don't qualify. That's how you can look on your return and see whether you do or don't qualify, okay? Now, line 12 is where your standard deduction is listed, or your itemized deduction. And I definitely need to do a video one of these days to explain the difference between the standard deduction versus itemized, because it's important, especially since the tax law changes that were made back in 2018. A lot of people who used to be able to itemize no longer are able to itemize, and that's because the standard deduction was raised to a point that took them over what they used to itemize, okay? There were a lot of changes made to that Schedule A, so one day I want to do that to help you guys understand that, okay? Your qualified business income deduction, okay, would come here on line 13. And now you come to your taxable income on line 15. Now notice, what I'm going to point out to you is that in some cases, let's say there are really no adjustments made. There are times when your total income on line 9, your adjusted gross income, are going to wind up being the same. And then once your standard deduction comes out, or your itemized deductions, that comes to your taxable income. The reason why you want to always know your taxable income, line 15, is because your taxable income is what tells you what your tax liability is, okay? So that's an important number for you guys to know. Okay, you always want to know your taxable income so that you will know what your tax liability is, okay? Now, speaking of tax liability, okay, here we are. We come to line 16, and line 16 is what's going to tell you what your tax is on your taxable income from line 15, okay? And IRS has their charts and everything. Obviously, no one is doing paper returns anymore. I hope not. But, yeah, so that amount goes there, and that's where you find that. And now we begin to find our credits, like different credits are going to go here. For example, on line 19, your child tax credit and credit for other dependents are going to go there, okay? Let's see, from Schedule 3, let's take a peek at Schedule 3. Okay, let me come back. Trying not to make this video too long, but I just want to be thorough to kind of help everyone out understanding their information. Okay, yeah, here's Schedule 3. So, okay, yeah, Schedule 3 is where credits like education credits are going to get carried over to here. Credit for child independent care, okay? Retirement savings contributions, okay? Residential energy credits, which are very important. I was able to actually help someone get back a very large refund due to some energy credits they were eligible for this filing. Okay, so as you can see, guys, lots of other things go on this form. Okay, so then this gets carried over to here, like I said, line 3. Okay, line 17 on the 1040 is what gets captured on, well, line 3 gets captured on line 17. Form 3, Schedule 3, I'm sorry, I apologize. Okay, so now we got all of that straight. Okay, well, here, Schedule 3, line 7. And then up here was another schedule, line 2. Let's just peek at that really quick. Okay. Okay, Schedule 2 is like the alternative minimum tax, self-employment tax. Okay, so Schedule 2 has some stuff going on, and then once that amount is figured out, that also rolls over to that's the number that rolls over to line 17. I apologize, guys. Schedule 3 rolls over to line 20. Okay, so now let's come to your total tax. All right, so we have the tax liability, and now we have the total tax on line 24. Now, based off of that, based off of what your liability is, if you're someone who receives a W-2, okay, this line 25A is where all of your federal withholdings get shown here, okay? And that's how, like, the math is done in terms of what your liability is versus what already came out, and that's what's going to help figure out, do you owe a balance? Do you have a refund coming? Okay, but before we get down to those refunds or balances owed, there's other stuff that can still fall in here, okay? For example, if you're eligible for earned income credit, all right? So, like, your tax might be one thing, okay? Your tax might be one thing, but now when you have stuff factored in like earned income credit, additional child tax credit, the American Opportunity Credit, which is educational related. Okay, this line 30 is the recovery rebate credit for like people who didn't even get their stimulus 1 or 2. Okay, that gets factored in here for 2020. So once all of these credits go in and we get those totals, okay, now this is where it's figured out based on your liability and based on these credits and everything, what's going on here. Am I due a refund? Was I due a refund, or do I owe? So let's take line 34. Okay, this is what you overpaid. Now, the amount of line 34, how much of it do you want refunded to you? That goes here. Okay? And the reason why they ask you that, guys, is because some people actually choose to apply it to their 2021 estimated tax. All right? Because that's just what some people prefer to do. They just roll it over. It just depends on what their situation is. Obviously, all your banking information goes here. If you are getting a refund, okay, that information goes there. Like whatever software you're using, or if you're a tax return preparer, like they're going to plug that stuff in. So I'm just, showing you where to locate it. Okay, which is another good way to make sure they have everything correct and stuff like that. Okay, so this is line 37 is where if you unfortunately owe a tax, well, maybe I shouldn't say unfortunately, but it is what it is. Okay, so this is where you would find that amount. Okay, and let's see what else. What else is on 1040? Your third-party designee. This is good to fill out. Like usually your tax return preparer. I know I always indicate this for my clients. I put my information. This is what helps make sure that I can get on the phone with IRS for them on their behalf and save them the headache. So I'm always their third-party designee. Okay, and this is where you sign. Well, on the software, digital signatures are going. Your occupation and all of that. Your paid preparer. Now, I would hope that all of you are using reputable paid preparers, because if you're going to people fly by night who are not signing their names to your returns and things like that, that is not a good look, guys. That means they could be unscrupulous. They can be doing things that could get you in potential trouble. It's just a lot going on there. So I wouldn't recommend using anyone who doesn't want to sign. And that's what I want to say about that. Okay, so I think I've gone over the important line items, especially what you need for like all of the stuff we talked about. Okay, other things, other financial things that you may have going on. Okay, so I do thank you for watching. Okay, and please click like so that the YouTube algorithm will help show my video to others who are searching for this kind of content. And see you guys in the next video. The channel is really growing nice, and I'm trying my best to answer all of you when I get a minute. I come and reply to your responses. Some of you have actually already became my client. Thank you so much. Some of you have consulted with me, booked business consultations, which I do those as well. You don't have to be a client to book a consult with me. It is a fee-based consultation. So to help you, start or grow your business or answer your business questions, your personalized business questions. All right, so I will see you guys in the next video. And again, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.